Hello, everyone. This is the Lioness at the Door podcast. I am Jackie Sorensen. I'm a holistic health coach at Lioness at the Door, holistic health coaching for women of faith, where we figure out the things that you have in your life that pertain to your health that need a little help, need a little health, and really what pertains to your health in your life. It's pretty much everything. So
Yes, it is.
we do a little bit of learning about everything. And I'm here with Amy.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Amy, a teacher by profession, a wife and mother by choice, an optimist by nature, and happy by design. And today, as you join us, we are excited to be talking about vision, which we've been discussing already in January, and then how to bring our vision to a place where we can actually envision ourselves living our vision, and then how we can go out into the world and make that a reality. We'll also answer a listener question that has to do with this principle. And in the end, I will share a moment of having done badly and how I recovered from it. To begin, Jackie, talk to us a little bit about vision.
Yeah, well, vision, another way to say vision is spiritual creation. It's what we feel, what we hope. It's what we want to have happen in our lives and in our relationships. And the first step is really seeing it inside, seeing it within ourselves. And then we go about bringing that into the world through our senses. So we can make tools for ourselves that will help us bring what's in our minds and what's in our hearts out into the physical world so that we can focus on them long enough to create them. And part of that, one of the things that we have been working on this month in Lioness is creating a vision board. And this is just one way, but it's a really good way, because as human beings, one of the ways that we learn so quickly is through images.
Mm-hmm.
And we know by the misuse of images how powerful they are.
Right.
The addictive quality. Because our brains go, we've all heard pictures worth a million words. And it's absolutely true to our brains. We can get in one image a million words. And so it's like fast tracking what you have in your mind into physical reality. So for instance, I want to show you, I'm going to stand up and take this picture off of my vision board that's right up here in front of my desk. See that picture?
Mm-hmm.
I am married to a guy that really loves being home. And there aren't any beaches where we live.
Right.
So as I put up images of places that I want to go and things that I want to see, I literally have no plans for it. And I really don't even know how we're going to get from being landlocked in the middle of the States to an ocean to do this.
Right.
And yet, 2 times in the last couple of years, I have seen with my physical eyes what I saw with my spiritual eyes come to pass. And one was really, really incredible. I had a picture like this on my vision board a few years ago, and it was similar but different. It was kind of a couple in their swimming suits walking down this narrow path to the water. And out of the blue, for one of our big milestone anniversaries, my husband called and said, I know you have always wanted to go to Hawaii. Let's do it. He's not interested in going very far. And he's just said, let's go across the ocean.
Right.
It blew me away. It blew me away. Anyway, to make a long story short, we were walking down this narrow corridor between two houses, because where our hotel was, then there was a street, and then there were a row of houses, and then the beach. So you had to walk in between in this little area down to the water. And it was almost like this
Right.
feeling of, as we're walking, I'm not even thinking about the picture. It's not anywhere on my radar, but I've been looking at this picture for, every day for a period of time. All of a sudden, it's like my own spiritual eyes are looking at the back of our heads, looking at us, walking down this thing to the water. And it was my picture. It was absolutely straight up the picture. And it was kind of, wow, I had this desire. I found something that represented that desire. And of course, the main thing that's in here is the two people.
Right.
The two people having an experience in nature, in beauty together. That's it. Anyway, so a vision board is a tool to help you bring what you're seeing with your spiritual eyes into physical reality. It's kind of like a fast track. And that's why some people use them and love them, because images fast track us to where we want to go.
As you're talking about vision, I think of the idea of that which we see afar off. That's the phrase that came to my mind. Mm-hmm. So the vision is what we see afar off. And then those pictures help us bring it to us, right? Mm-hmm. And it allows us to then recognize it when it arrives. And in your case, you had that moment, right? Where you thought, this is my picture. And I think at other times, it helps us recognize it when it doesn't look exactly like the picture, but it holds the most important part, which was the two people having the beautiful experience in the outdoors, right? But we can see it, we can recognize it.
And sometimes I don't have a beautiful picture. Sometimes I make a stick drawing.
Yep.
The closet in the basement that I wanted to finally wrestle into something organized. I drew it out with very, very simple little, here are the shelves.
Right.
Here are the boxes. Here are the labels. Here are the,
Yeah.
And the day that I finished that project, as I stepped back, I had the same experience, because all of a sudden the picture that I had been looking at was physical. It had come to the earth. It was here. And it's really a powerful thing.
Right. Yeah. It's that moment of recognition. Mm-hmm. This makes me think of something that I didn't hang up as a vision board. And yet I think that's what it was. A couple of years ago, when we took our family pictures, we were moving from where we had lived for 9 years to where we currently live. Mm-hmm. And it was the last possible moment we could really get these pictures. Almost everything was out of the house already. And we wanted the photographer to come to our house and take the pictures there. And my husband was not in a picture taking mood. He just was thinking, it's beyond the time we should be doing this. Can we not be doing this? So, family pictures don't always happen in the happiness that looks like what's happening in the picture. This was one of those times. And in one of the pictures where it was just the two of us, I just grabbed him and I kissed him on the cheek, and he gave this funny expression of like, why are you doing that? And it's hanging up in our house now. And people have commented on, these are so fun. My husband hates taking pictures. And every time they say that to me, I tell them the story. But as you're talking about vision boards, I think by hanging that picture, I love the picture. My husband likes the picture. He's told me since then, I'm glad we got those pictures, right? And it helps me remember that vision of what we want. We want the love there. Right. Yeah. It's not a picture of me slapping him for being ornery about the picture. It's a picture of me giving him a quick kiss on the cheek, him having the moment of surprise. And it's a picture of what we want. And so we continue to see that picture of what we want. And we know that we can create it even from a moment that wasn't picture perfect as
Yeah.
far as the feelings of the moment, right? So it's become a vision board, even though that wasn't what it was labeled.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Well, another way that we can bring what's in our minds and our hearts out into the world is to we use this word meditation a lot, and I think it is confusing.
Right.
The meditation that I'm talking about right now is something that I do with my clients quite often, and it's called a guided meditation. And it's where one person walks you through, and you can do this for yourself as well, but you walk through in your mind, you walk through a scenario. It's like, you remember the story of the prisoner of war who continues to practice the piano in his mind, even
I
though,
don't know this story,
oh,
but
okay,
it sounds great.
has no piano, of course, and continues in just mentally to rehearse, to go through each piece that he knows. Maybe he went through his scales and arpeggios, I don't know,
Mhm.
but we don't lose our skills as rapidly, not nearly as rapidly, when if we can at least mentally rehearse them.
Mhm.
And that's something that we're working on in healing with love, is learning to see yourself as an unconditionally loving person. And part of being able to do that is just mentally walking through. And Amy said earlier, maybe the scenario is the moment that everyone's coming home for the day. What if I, in preparation for that moment, had already gotten myself quiet and thought through it? And I know the variables. I know people are going to be hungry. I
Mhm.
know people are going to be tired and need a break. I know people are going to be ready to be heard. They're going to want to talk and report what happened. And I'm so happy, or I'm so sad, or I'm so perplexed, or I'm so excited, whatever. And it's this critical mass moment of we're coming back together. And if I can walk through it first and see myself as an unconditionally loving, prepared person in that moment, it's kind of like the vision board, in that you just get up and make it happen because you've
Right.
already seen it. Your mind just goes to work. That's what you want me to do? Okay, let's go do it.
Yep.
Let's go cut up that little plate of vegetables and make a little dip. And I'm going to clear off my day at that little window so that I
Mhm.
can be present. And I might even lay down for 20 minutes before that happens, because I want to be not tired, not ornery, not on my last nerve.
Right.
And I've already mentally walked through it. And as I'm walking through it, I'm going to notice all the details that I haven't thought about yet, because I'm there. I'm literally there.
Right.
I know that I'm going to be loving and teaching. I know that when the backpacks come off and the boots come off and the gloves come off, I already know how I'm going to say,
Please pick those up, right? It's not
"Never
a yelling.
go there." As soon as they're in the bin,
Right.
come in and let's eat. Come in,
Right.
and I want to hear about your day. But remember, this is how it goes. And I can hear my voice
Mhm.
in my mind. It's not irritated and it's not angry. And therefore, no one has to go into protection mode. But I can still teach. I can still teach and teach the expectation of this home. This is what we do. But if I say it firmly, kindly, gently, and respectfully, it'll be learned. It'll get through. And anyway, I can prepare myself by walking through that mentally, seeing myself smiling. I can hear my own voice. And maybe you can relate to this too. When I do this with my kids, even now, when I'm expecting everyone for a holiday or something,
Mhm.
if I'm thinking it through, I always end up crying
So
because I always feel my love.
yeah.
I see their faces and I just fill up with my love for them. And that's how I want to meet them. I want to meet them full.
Right. Full of love instead of the love was a week ago. When I first thought of them coming and hadn't done all the preparation and wasn't tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like that idea, the idea that we can have that vision of things afar off. And then by bringing those things afar off into our mind through the guided meditation, through sitting down for 5 minutes, even, I bet even 5 minutes of sitting down, eyes open or closed, and just thinking, when my kids come in the door, or when I show up at this presentation I'm giving, or when I sit down in the morning at 5:30 to do my morning, whatever, as we can picture that in our minds, it's that first creation, right? And I think by envisioning it, that's where we bring the vision that's far away closer, so we can envision it in our minds. And if we can envision ourselves doing it, it's so much more possible to do, because those things we can't picture ourselves doing, if we say to ourselves, oh, I could never do that, well, you're right. Until you change that vocabulary and change your own perspective.
Yeah, that's one thing that we are doing in the 7 Steps to Family Wellness this month. And I just listened to, because I was editing the first class for this month, the digital version, and we do a guided meditation, and it's just really powerful. The question was, think of the last time that you were frustrated or angry. Go back to that time in your mind, see yourself, like look at yourself.
Right.
And then look up. What was there, spiritually speaking, ready to help you, that you couldn't see then because you were in your head. You were in that frustration mode. And the responses, the things that come to people in answer to that question are really powerful. There's help.
Right.
There's help. And I want to see myself looking up in those moments and stepping away from that choice that I've made to go into fear or anger or frustration.
And stepping into the other choice that's been there all along.
Right.
Right. But we so often can't see it. I just love this idea of being able to see those moments. And it is possible. It's possible to see them, to recognize them, and a little bit at a time get to a point where we are then acting in accordance with what we would like to see.
Yeah.
Reality can happen.
When we're working in the spiritual realm, when we're envisioning, there's so much. It's like we're in a zone where there isn't time and space, right? And so revelation comes, inspiration comes in that moment. And I think that is the point of meditation. It's going in your mind somewhere on purpose and creating it. And letting all of the inspiration for that moment, because you're not in the press. Right. You don't have the pressure of the moment and all the needs, your own needs and other people's needs. So it's an incredible way to create what we want.
It gives you, the word margin comes to mind. It gives you the margin to actually do, right? Because you don't have all that pressing in. And I think the other really practical thing to look at here is creating enough margin to have that time to envision, right? And I'm sure that some of you out there are thinking, what is this? A half an hour time to envision? 20 minutes?
A 60
5 minutes? But if you can do it for 60 seconds, right? Deep breath, close my eyes. The child is already coming towards the house from the bus, but you have a few seconds. And you may find that grows into 5 minutes and that helps you more, right? And that you can make that margin. But to begin with, that first step, which we're fans of talking about, as you come up with your menu of things to try after you listen to us, that's one of them, is to just see, could you take the 30 seconds when you're almost there, right? Right before you get up to speak and you want to show up, right before you end up at work, take the 30 seconds and it will be better than nothing.
I would add that it's always to our advantage to make that 30 seconds way before.
Yes, absolutely.
In the morning, and we know We know what's going on,
Yep.
for the most part, we know the schedule of the day. In our prayer time, in our scripture study time, in our vision time. And I took a class by a man that called it visioneering, which I loved.
That was fun. Yeah.
Because you're engineering the spiritual creation of the day.
Right.
And even 60 seconds at 7 o'clock in the morning will come to you at 3 o'clock when you need it.
Right.
It'll come back.
It will.
But the beauty of it is that when it's done earlier, the details, the plans, the things that you can do to prepare to make it come into reality, you have that.
Right.
And it just gives you so much, it gives you so much strength and confidence because you're seeing it. You're creating it instead of having it happen to you.
And you're prepared for when the moment arrives. Right. And you're prepared in advance. Yeah. So I think that's just another thought to consider as you're considering your day. Where could you take, how much time before could you do it? Because I guarantee that some people are sitting there thinking, mornings are so hectic, there's no way. Well, that's fine. Is there lunchtime? Is there right after you drop someone off? Is there that you could just pause, park your car for a minute and pause? And I think finding those moments, what that does is it creates a momentum where if creating the moment in the busyness of the day helped a little, then what would it look like if you could create a little bit longer moment that wasn't quite as much in the middle of the busyness of the day? And you can work yourself to a point where you have your visioneering time. You have the time to look at your vision board, and not that you have it, you make it because you know that it makes everything better. And I think sometimes getting from where someone is to this beautiful thing you've just described feels like there's this chasm in between the two. And I think you can bridge that chasm, and it's just a little bit at a time. So try something that you felt today that you're thinking, oh, that would be so glorious. Come up with a way that can enter into your life right now, as soon as possible. And then you can adjust it and you can tweak it until it's more where you really want it. But my suggestion is to begin and try, because if you felt something that gave you hope, it's great to try whatever level of it you can try as soon as possible, rather than waiting for the perfect moment.
Yeah. And those things, those self-defeating, self-sabotaging thoughts that you're talking about, we have to get used to hearing those.
Yeah.
And we have to do something with them because we are abdicating our agency with those thoughts.
Right. And those thoughts are there, and we can get better at them not being there. Honestly, they can become less and less there, even if they still come in every so often. It's something that can be changed.
Amen. Absolutely. That's another thing we're doing in seminar 7 Steps to Family Wellness this month. That's really a powerful exercise.
Well, I want to invite anyone who's listening, if you've had thoughts or comments, or you're thinking like, yeah, I am going to try this, I'm going to try it in this way. We would absolutely love to hear either what you were inspired to try before you ever try it, or if you'd like to give it a try and then tell us what works and what doesn't. Or you might find yourself the moment and think, wait, what was I supposed to do? You might have a question. Please reach out to us. You can comment below this video. If you got to this video through a Facebook link, you could comment right in that Facebook link. Or Jackie, there's a few other ways that they could reach out to us.
Yeah, you can go to Lioness at the Door on Facebook, or Lioness Coaching on Instagram, or lionessatthedoor.com, and go just right to the website.
And there's an email on the website, right, where they can reach out to us. Yep. So please, we've had a lot of fun hearing the comments that have come in, and we would just love to hear more. So with that, are you prepared to go to our listener question?
Yes, let's do the question.
All right. So we had a listener ask us about how to make this reality. And here's the question. There's two, but they are very related. How does one determine the most important place to start? And closely related to that, how does one determine the first and then subsequent tiny steps to take? Now, with this tiny steps, what's really cool about that question is that Jackie has actually been doing her 5-day challenge, and this was part of the challenge. So you tell us briefly about what you would suggest for someone who missed the challenge, but's looking for something to begin, and how you would suggest that this person proceed for how to figure out those tiny steps.
Yeah. Well, the 5-day challenge, we've done it a couple of times in the last couple of months, and you can join anytime. It's
great.
it's not live right now, but we have a Facebook group that is just the 5-day challenge group. And if you register, you can get the free download for the worksheets, and the worksheets walk you through this process that you're just describing. So in short, this is similar to what we've been talking about, where we're working on spiritual creation, which requires thought. It requires us to observe and to think, to remember, to dream, to envision. What is it that we want? What is the family culture that we want? What is the personal development that we want? What, doesn't matter what it is. It's having a dream, having some desire within you. And then part of that question talks about priority. How do you know which is what? Well, in the 5-day challenge, we talk about listing out what are the 3 most important things to you right now in your life. It's going to be different next year.
Right.
It was different last year, but right now. And I'll tell you that one of the biggest clues to this is, what challenges do you have? We have challenges before us that need to be met. That is our education right there. So that is an important part. That's an important question to answer in knowing what's the most important thing. Well, if this were me speaking 20 years ago, well, I was in school taking a couple of classes a semester for many, many years, working on a degree. We were raising a child with a disability, and we had 2 other kids that were doing, all the normal stuff of violin lessons and dance and basketball and all those things. So the pressing things for me then was working in the people with disabilities parent group, and getting my child to primaries, and getting this child here or there, and doing my homework, and working in my primary calling, and those kinds. So that informed me.
Right.
These are the things that are on my plate right now. These are most important right now. And we make a list of good, better, best. This would be really fun to do. This would be really good to do. But then the next question is, what would be even better than that? And what would be the best thing, considering the responsibilities that I have, considering the commitments that I have, and considering my own personality and desire.
Right. And I think your own energy level and your own ability to have multiple plates spinning, right? Some people can do a lot of stuff, and other people find that they say to themselves, why can't I do all that stuff? It's okay if you can do 2 things while someone else does 7. And you have to know that about yourself.
And I have to say that if someone is doing 7, they have different, if they're doing 7 and they're living their life in a loving way,
right?
Not coming home and screaming at everybody.
Yep.
They have different supports.
Yep.
Because they're not superhuman, and
right.
Right. A lot of it has to do with what supports have you created in your life so that you can be in the most important things to you. Relationships are always at the top, because we don't get to the end of life and think, darn, I wish I had gotten that other car.
Right.
It has nothing to do with that. So
right.
Relationships really have to be king in my book.
And honestly, I mean, you're talking about the car, but even just those things, those good projects, right? We often also don't get to the end of the year and think, well, I'm glad that I didn't do these things with my family because at least I organized my cupboard, or at least I did some checklist kind of thing. And so even those things that are less tangible, but more of just a checkbox, they aren't the things we miss. Like we miss, oh, I wish I really had spent that time with my grandkids, or I wish I really had taken a moment for that friend.
Yeah, right. Right. What was the second part of the question? Oh, breaking down in baby steps. So this was the culminating piece of the 5-day challenge. And this is when we go through the Lioness planner and write out the vision. We just write, we do the worksheets and then we plug it into the planner. So you have the vision at the beginning. Then you take the vision and you make a few decisions. You make 12 decisions actually, because you're taking the vision pieces and you're making your best guess about where they fit in the time frame that we call a calendar. And all of it is guesstimating.
Right.
So we do it in pencil.
Yes, pencil is glorious.
Yeah, so we can move it around when we get more knowledge, when we have more of the facts, and as we're going through life and life is happening as well. And then we can flex and bend and move. We can change the way we see that we're going to get there, but we don't need to change getting there. So we use this process of big broken down into 12. Then we take those 12, break them down into 4 weeks.
Yep.
Then we take the weeks, we break them down into days. And there are places in the Lioness Planner to do this process so that you know where you are. You can keep track of where you are. And it takes this big, maybe elusive feeling thing, because a dream can be really big. And then breaking down, it's just like our bodies, we eat something, digestion starts here, starts at the mouths.
Yep.
It's chemical and it's physical. And we start breaking down our food, and there's a whole process. And that's exactly how vision is. We have to go through the process of getting it in the first place, opening ourselves up to it in the first place. But then we have to start the process of breaking down so that we have in our hands, this is the step, this one, just this little one.
Yep.
This is the one I'm doing today. Right. That's all. I don't have to look at the whole thing every day. But hearkening back to what you said last week about perspective, taking those moments, maybe quarterly, of stepping back, look at that vision page again. And this is something that I've learned to put in my planner for myself, a reminder, look at the vision page again.
Right.
Not every day, it's overwhelming.
Right. But just regularly.
Once a month, I put that on my look back at that page and be reminded of the glory of the vision.
Yes.
And then see where you are. See that you have taken 12 baby steps in the last month. Look how much closer you are. It's heady stuff.
And it allows you to make adjustments for whatever life circumstances have thrown at you, right? In 2020, it would have allowed for adjusting anything that needed to be adjusted due to COVID. If you're older and so you have family and friends who are passing away because you're in that generation, it allows you to make adjustments if there was an important funeral you attended, and those things that you can't foresee. And yet you can flex. You have that flexibility. Well, I hope that's helpful for not only the one who asked the question, but for all of you. Again, if you have any questions for us about anything we've talked about over the past 6 episodes, please comment or reach out to us at Lioness at the Door. There's an email there that you can send. Let's wrap up with a moment of having done badly. and how I recovered.
We've all got these. Yeah.
Recovery is what matters, right? I mean, we all do badly from time to time. And that's the phrase that came to me in this situation.
Yeah.
A friend of mine had done a service for me, and I had been looking for ways to return some things to that friend.
Mm.
And it just hadn't happened. Wasn't happening, right? It's so interesting how a little errand cannot happen. And yet, as part of that errand, I'd wanted to connect with my friend because, she's my friend. Well, I finally decided, no, the errand just has to get done. And in the moment of making that decision about the to-do list item, I knew, even in the moment, I was ignoring the importance of the person a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was pushing, and I thought, I know, but at this point, I just need to do the errand, right? I can't have the errand on the list anymore. So I let the checklist become more important than the person. And what resulted was that I hurt feelings. And regardless of any other reason why the feelings were hurt, because I think it's very easy for us to say, well, I just need that person to understand this, or, well, the reason that person felt that way is this. That doesn't really matter as much as the fact that the feelings were hurt, right? And so the first thing that was glorious was that the person let me know. And they were willing to let me know of the hurt. And then I realized it's time to push pause and to go to that person and face to face, not a text, not an email, not a call, but face to face, let them know that that is not how I wanted to show up. And I even told the person, you know what? Badly done on my part. Badly done. And in hindsight, as I've thought about it, even though I felt bad that I'd hurt the feelings, the worst part about it was I knew in the moment, even in the moment of making the decision to put the checklist in front of the person, I had that little like uncomfortableness, right? I knew in the moment. So it's one thing when we just don't think and we act in a way and in hindsight, but it wasn't just hindsight. It was even in the moment of feeling like this doesn't feel right. And that's why I call it having done badly, as opposed to I just made a mistake.
Yeah.
Because I had that choice. And I think that all of us, you and me and all of our listeners, have those moments where we have an opportunity to make a choice. And sometimes we make the choice that opens up our hearts and we have the love and everything goes well. And other times, even with that little feeling that this isn't how I want to do it, this isn't how I want to show up, we do badly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And the only way to recover from that is to just get up and apologize and move forward to do something different, to use our vision that we created, to take time to visualize, to envision ourselves doing it, and then to go out into the world and do it in a way that we can also be gentle with ourselves when we make a mistake.
Right. Right. It's called telling the truth.
Yes, with ourselves, with others, right?
It's really the only way to create really intimate and loving relationships, to do what you did, to own the moment, own the thought,
right,
and ask for forgiveness and go through that little moment of repentance, that turning back to your real self.
Yes. And regardless of all the other circumstances, because it's so easy to take all the other circumstances and think that's the issue. Well, it wasn't the issue, right? They played a part, but in the end, I acted in a way that wasn't true to me and I owned it, and I feel better having owned it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that allowed her she was very gracious and extended forgiveness very quickly. But it's a lot easier to do when someone owns what they did.
Absolutely.
So,
right.
Well, I think it has been a lovely time. It has been a lovely time with all of you.
Yes.
It's been fun to talk about vision. We hope that you will think of a way that you want to create that vision, whether it's a vision board or whether you like to make a list and use words, but some form of vision, even if it's just about one or two things, right? Something that helps you have that vision, and then take some time to actually visualize yourself showing up in that vision.
And what this requires to even consider doing any of this is faith.
Yes.
We have to throw our faith out ahead of us.
Yep. And I want to say it, hope too. Hope is my byline too. You've got to have the hope that the faith will then make good things happen.
Yeah. So we hope that that's what you all have heard and received maybe a little bit of today, a little shot of hope, a little shot of faith, that we are doing pretty darn well, and not perfectly,
Nope,
but learning and growing, and we're all doing it. We're all learning, and it's really a pretty glorious process. So
it is. So leave us your comments, leave us your questions. Once again, I am Amy, and I've been here today with Jackie. It was great seeing you.
Yes, you too. Everybody take care.
Jackie, I know that you have 2 exciting things that would be very timely for people if they're looking for some ways to implement the things we've talked about. Will you tell us about your planner and about lifestyle?
Yes. So those are 2 of the things that we have going on right now. And it's been a dream for a long time to have a subscription program that's just very little money and guides you in taking baby steps. Mm-hmm. So we're following actually this theme that we have going on the podcast. So for January, we are doing vision and mission and just those beginning of the year things. We're doing that in lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So it's a subscription. You get the goal, you get the theme, you get assignments, baby step assignments, just to either start you into the process or to keep you in the process if you've already been a coaching client or you've already done one of the Lioness classes. And one of the fun things about this is that as you do your assignments each month, you get that incredible, wonderful feeling of moving forward. Mm-hmm. And you're doing the most important things for you. But then you also get each month a beautiful little page called a family tradition tracker. And it's simply a planning sheet for you to use with your family for each month to fill in the traditions that you want to create or that you want to keep going. And a place for ideas, a place for you to flesh it out. What does it look like? How are we going to do it? So you get the download for that every month in the Lioness lifestyle. So that's really fun. The planners are beautiful and walk you through all the things that we've talked about. Walk you through self-care, planning, vision, breaking things down, self-care prompts, all the, what's for dinner, mm-hmm. meal planning, and time blocking, all the things that we do in our Lioness classes. So it's in the planner, and there are a lot of free, fun things that come with the planner too, like the masterclass, where you get to see how to do that with the planner. So you get the planner, how to use it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So those are a couple of the things. The other classes that we're doing are also still open for people to sign up. So just lionessatthedoor.com.
Head over there and choose what you need to make this year align with your vision and your desires.
Yep. Our hope is to support you. So everybody take care.
Bye.